This is little Tonya, and she is Levana's fifth child from her fourth marriage. A mother brings her 4-year-old daughter to the skating rink to be taken care of by figure skating coach Diane Rawlinson. The coach immediately refused the insolent woman because the child is still too young, but the cheerful girl conquered the woman. And in 6 months Tonya won her first competition. The mother attends every training session of her daughter and, drinking coffee and whiskey, does nothing but criticize her daughter. All her childhood Tonya suffered from her mother's slaps. The girl grows up in a redneck family, where she was taught to hunt from a small age. As we can see, the girl grows up to be a roughneck. And that's a big problem, because the judges want to see little princesses on the ice, and our Tonya looks like she just came out of the woods. After a while, Levana's fourth husband ran away from her, even though his daughter begged him to stay. At 15, the girl met Jeff, and could not resist him, because the guy had such a seductive mustache. On a date with a couple, for control, went and Levana. Jeff was a bit slow, and had a hard time responding to the woman's barbs directed at him. At this time, the father stopped paying child support, and the girl decided to ask the guy what he would do after school. Tonya herself was forced by her mother to drop out of school for skates. The girl was fine with this nice guy, but after a couple of months he started beating her. As time went on, the relationship between the relatives became more and more strained. A year later, in 1986, Tonya is preparing to perform, and to support her came Jeff and his chubby friend Sean. And her mother, also lurking among the bleachers. Clockwork performance Tonya caused delight among the audience, but even now the girl has to face unfair judging, because even the girl who fell got a higher score. Her mother was as supportive of her daughter during dinner as always, and then gratuitously lashed out at her afterward. But today she drew the line by throwing a knife at Tonya. After this incident, the girl ran away from her mother and moved to Jeff. Dresses for performances the girl sews herself. It was the best time in the life of the couple. The man worked, and Tonya participated in competitions. But soon, once again the girl faces unfair judging, and one of the judges tells her to her face that they evaluate not only the performance itself, but also the appearance of the figure skater. Diane in the locker room advises her mentee to think about another costume, and the girl's manners and accompanying music for performances are also nowhere good. But this only causes the girl's anger. Finally, Tonya marries Jeff, and before that the girl worked as a forklift driver, a store clerk, and many other places. But from now on she can rely on her husband, and do only figure skating. At the age of 91, Tonya is now coached by Dodie Teachman, and at the US Championships the girl is preparing to perform the most difficult jump, the triple axel. From the podium, some guy calls the girl a redneck, but it turns out he was bribed by Levana to do it. Performing one element after another, the gifted skater successfully copes with the triple axel. Tonya became the first American to do it. She finally achieved the highest grades and recognition, and at that time the girl was the best single figure skater in the world. But after the triple axel, everything changed in the girl's personal life. Jeff found it hard to please his wife. And Tonya realized that she deserved more, because she was fed up with the constant beatings, and she ran away from her husband. Being at the peak of her form, Tonya won silver at the World Championships and gold at the American Championships. And Jeff is handed a ban on approaching his wife, but that doesn't stop him. He goes to his spouse, bringing his friend Sean, who, according to him, worked in the special services. The man drove a bunch of kilometers only to personally send Tonya, and he had the last word. Ironically, it helped him bring the figure skater home, but their reunion cursed Tonya's career. As the Olympic Games approached, the girl fell more and more. The year was 1992, the Winter Olympics in France. Tonya came here to become the first woman to perform the triple axel at these competitions. But 2 days before, the girl suffered a knee injury, which was caused by a disorderly lifestyle and weight gain before the Olympics. As a result, the skater botched all her landings and became only fourth. Jeff started to get violent again, and eventually the couple divorced. But the psychotic guy didn't leave the girl alone. Even after that, he broke into her hotel room with a gun. The guy even wounded the girl with a ricochet from the gunshot, and afterward forced her into a car to take her to the hospital. On the way, their car was stopped by a patrolman who simply confiscated the alcohol and weapons, and the cop paid no attention to the bloody woman. After fourth place at the Olympics, no advertising contracts are offered, and Tonya, like her mother, takes a job as a waitress in a cafe. It is there that Tonya is found by her first coach, Dean. The woman informs her that this time the Olympic Games will be held in 2 years, in the 94th. She gives Tonya another chance to return to the big sport. Tormented by asthma, the girl started training under the Rocky Balboa system. Form to the athlete gradually returns, but she still does not see good marks from the judges. Caught off guard, the judge admits that it's not just about her skills, because she comes from a bad family, and on her own she is not worthy to represent the country. Tonya realizes that she has to do something about it. After a long time, the girl meets her mother to clarify the relationship. Judging by the conversation, Levana does not see any guilt for her daughter's unhappy childhood. After all, she raised a champion. To imitate a normal family in front of journalists, she had to return to her ex-husband, and with that the bruises on her face returned. One day there was an important and unpleasant event. Tony received a threat that if she appeared on the rink, she would get a bullet. Frightened, the girl did not go out on the ice for a long time. Short-sighted Jeff decided that this is the work of Nancy Kerrigan, another strongest figure skater in America, and she should respond in the same way, sending a letter with a threat of life for her. Tonya also got involved in this case, having found out the name of the stadium where her competitor is practicing. The girl's records are later found by FBI agents during the investigation. According to the already aged Jeff, Tonya did not know about the planned attack. The girl was only aware of the letter, and the man allegedly did not plan anything like that himself at the time. To make everything go clean, his friend Sean demanded $1,000. With this money he promised to involve his loyal people, but then needed more money. Jeff wanted to cancel everything, but Sean refuses and says some nonsense that the operation has already started. Soon, one of the dim-witted agents he hired infiltrates the stadium. He learns from the spectators which of the skaters is Nancy. The man follows her, and with a telescopic baton strikes her knee with all his might and tries to escape. The man, unable to find a way out, smashes a glass door with his head and attacks a passerby for some reason. That same day, all the news in the country tells us that the U.S. figure skating champion has broken her knee. Tonya lashes out at her husband and doesn't understand how it came to this. The man is shocked, but Sean is proud of the work he's done. He says that he has changed the story, and now all figure skaters will hire security. After that, the fat man admits that it was he who sent a threatening letter to Tonya, because the special agent thought everything through 4 steps ahead. While Tonya performs at the rink, Jeff sends Sean's agents another check. It's a decisive competition, thanks to which the figure skater can go to the Olympics. The cops instantly find the executors of the task, and in the meantime Tonya is basking in the glory, because after all she managed to get a place in the Olympic team. Soon she and her husband had their first conversation with FBI agents, and Jeff was acting as suspicious as possible. And Special Agent Sean has been blabbing to literally everyone she meets about her successful operation for the past 24 hours. However, when interrogated by real FBI agents, the fat man instantly throws all the blame on his friend Jeff, and on the phone appoints him a meeting in a cafe. However, Jeff immediately guesses that the pig is wearing a listening device, and at the mention of Nancy pretends not to know what he is talking about. Jeff insists that he and Tonya need to come up with a legend, but the girl during the conversation guessed that most likely it was her ex-husband who came up with the idea to cripple her rival. Then she decided to act on her own, and with a lawyer gives evidence to the FBI against Jeff. And later the girl escapes from her husband from the house through the window. Whatever it is, but it is necessary to prepare for the Olympics. Only journalists do not give a pass to our figure skater. Meanwhile, her husband informs the FBI that the girl knew about the attack from the very beginning. All 4 gangsters were brought to trial. Jeff was accused of racketeering and obliged to pay a fine of $100,000, and in the end he received 2 years, and the other accomplices for 1.5 years. A month before the Olympics, everyone is discussing whether Tonya will be excluded from the national team, as well as the fact that Nancy Kerrigan, who has recovered from her injury, is ready to compete. Levana managed to get through the crowd of journalists to her daughter. To the girl's surprise, her mother supports her in this difficult life situation, but then the woman asks the question, "Did Tonya know about the attack?" And Tonya understood everything at once, and having found a dictaphone in her mother's pocket, she shoved her out of the door. At the big press conference, Tonya says that she does not admit her guilt, but regrets what happened. In the end, the girl is not excluded, and she gets into the Olympic team. In stress, the skater prepares to go on the ice, but in the end is greatly delayed because of problems with the skates. The girl's hands are shaking, and she is unable to lace up her skates herself. In the last seconds, the girl still rolls out onto the ice and begins her performance. But soon she stops and cannot hold back her tears. Her skate lace is torn. This is an unprecedented case, and the judges allowed Tonya to tie the shoelace and start the program again. As a result, the girl took only the 8th place. According to Tonya herself, she performed well, but the judges, as always, failed the girl. Nancy Kerrigan, on the other hand, won silver. After the Olympics, Tonya was put on trial. The girl was sentenced to 3 years probation and to pay a fine of $100,000, as well as to pay $50,000 to the Special Olympics Fund, 500 hours of community service, and immediate expulsion from the Figure Skating Association, with a lifetime ban from all tournaments. At the age of 24, Tonya's career was over. Although the girl herself would have preferred to serve time, but then have the opportunity to go out on the ice. Since then, Levana has not seen her daughter, and Jeff admits that in the end it was he who buried the career of his ex-wife. After 10 years, Tonya fought in professional boxing for 2 years. Today, the girl works as a landscape designer and is engaged in the painting business. At the age of 41, the woman gave birth to her firstborn son. Whether Tonya knew about the attack on Nancy, it remains a mystery to everyone. This is the end of the movie. Thank you all for watching this movie to the end. Give this video a like. Write in the comments what you think about this movie, and see you in new videos.